Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday's webinar with Anicca Digital. It's myself and Stanley this morning with Amy. Morning, Amy.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
So what we're going to do, usual thing, is we're going to run a poll while we're waiting for a few people to join us. I've just seen Sheila from sunny Cambridge. I hope it's nice over there. And Sharon Steele. Oh, hello, Sharon. Not seen you for a long time. So I'm going to run a poll. It's great seeing all the regulars come back, to be honest, every time we do this. So that's really cool. So I'm going to run a poll. Then I'm going to hand over to Amy to do the presentation. And then I will either appear at 5 to 10 or just as the last slides appear to do the closing sort of statements. So let's get going with the poll. So for any of you that have been on the on our webinars before or haven't been on our webinars before, what we do is I actually read the poll out, and the reason for this is that it doesn't show up in the video, so everybody's wondering what we're talking about. So the poll today, which you should be able to see, can you see, Amy? Is it popped up?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can see it.
Excellent. Do you or your organization currently do any content marketing or PR to help promote your brand or your products or services? So the first answer is no, I'm a student, unemployed, or not in a role company that requires content marketing or PR. And we do get quite a lot of students join us, and obviously they're looking for jobs in the long run. So at the moment, nobody's saying that one. No, but we are considering or planning to add new content on our website for SEO purposes. No, but we're considering or planning to undertake a content marketing project, which is both on our website and externally. No, but we are considering planning or undertaking PR project to help promote our business or new products or services. So then we come into the people that are actually doing it already. Yes, I'm responsible for adding new content or on our website for SEO purposes. Yes, I'm responsible for carrying out content marketing both on site and externally. Yes, I'm personally responsible for PR for our organisation. So then we come on to, yes, we have a team or someone else is responsible for content marketing activities. And yes, we employ a freelancer or an agency to carry it out for us. So at the moment, the most popular answer with about 50%, just under 50%, is yes, I'm personally responsible for carrying out content marketing both on site and externally. We've got about 17 to 20% that are responsible for PR and about 13% that are responsible for SEO purposes. And then another 13, I don't know why it's 13%, it's similar numbers, have a team or someone else is responsible, or they're using a freelancer. So it's a pretty knowledgeable bunch today, which is good. There's nobody that's not doing it, so you're gonna have to give them lots of tips as you're going through. So thanks for that, guys. As usual, if you want to put any questions in the chat or the questions, Sarah Ross will probably be able to help answer some questions or add any links as we go through. Oh, Sukh's joined us as well on anything to do with SEO. So you've got a team of people behind you who are going to support you in the questionnaires. So I'm going to let you get on with it. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to be stalking in the background, and I will see you in about 45 minutes.
Great.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, the right. The questions are stopped. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Really great to see you. It's really nice that so many of the team are here as well. So I've got to, I'm on starters orders, obviously, with them. So just wanted to run through the agenda, talk a bit about me. We're going to do a quick recap on what content and PR is. And obviously from the poll, it sounds like a lot of you know what you're talking about, but so I'll probably kind of jump through that a bit. But if there's any questions on that as we go through, please shout. Then we're going to look at what's new in PR, or news apparently, as I've written here. But then we're going to dive into content. There's a bit more to go through with content just because of how fast-paced things are going at the moment. We're going to look at what's new. And then importantly, at the end, we're going to actually look at how, particularly content as well, will perform, how you can use it to benefit your business and your brand, how you can make it work. So just a little bit about me, very smiley picture there, and I decided not to wear the same top today, but I've got over 20 years comms experience. I actually did my degree in PR. I think I was the third year or fourth year of the very first intake. There were very few degrees at that time when I did it. It was mostly kind of standard degrees like geography, maths, whatever. So PR was pretty much a curveball in terms of the creative industries. So that was a little while ago, but then from there I joined, worked in agencies, and my job before joining Anicca was working in-house at RS Components in Corby, and they are a B2B business, and I was head of UK PR, and then moved into social media, into marketing team, and headed up the global social media team there. So quite a diverse set of skills there, but obviously all based around comms, and just, obviously I'm really interested in content and how PR has evolved, and I've seen PR evolve from sort of sending out press releases and envelopes when I first started in a boutique agency, to using Twitter to kind of get journalist attention. So I've kind of come full circle, I guess. So Anicca, I'm head of PR and content, and I've got an amazing team that I work with, and I'm glad they're all here today. And in terms of my role, I do roll my sleeves up, actually. I really am hands-on, and I always want to be hands-on. I don't think I could ever sit on the sidelines and not get involved. I'm too long on the tooth for that, but very much around strategy as well, and developing great outreach for clients, looking at a story, looking at what's newsworthy, and creating really engaging copy to kind of get to the nub of what the client's trying to achieve, meet their KPIs and looking to exceed them. In terms of content, very much driving kind of like an organic SEO agenda there, looking at planning, driving visibility online for clients. And, I've put here around the collaborative model that we have. In Anicca is an integrated agency, and that really is true, and particularly with the content team. We work so closely with Sukh in the SEO team. He heads up SEO. So I'm delighted that he's here today, because he will be on hand to answer kind of any more technical questions that you might have around SEO. So I very much focus on more the organic side of it. But we do have a very collaborative relationship, and working really, really closely together to make sure our clients can get maximum benefit from SEO and content. And just a sort of bit of backstory about me. I was actually born and bred in the East Midlands. I come from Northamptonshire, so I kind of have to grin and bear the Leicestershire address for Anicca, but absolutely love it. I love being back in the East Midlands after being in London and the South East for a number of years. So let's crack on with the presentation. So just want to remind you about Anicca and the pedigree that we have, and the kind of industries that we work in, and the companies that we support. So, we have a really huge experience working with a number of different companies, but particularly those in the manufacturing or areas in which they build or create their own products. So we can look at that, in terms of construction, logistics and supply chain. So, for example, Palex is one of our long-standing clients that we work with, and actually we do a lot of PR and content SEO for Palex. Manufacturing supply chain is another area, and not forgetting the medical, health and scientific industries as well. So our teams have huge amounts of understanding and knowledge within these areas, and allows us to really sort of set us apart from other agencies, both locally and across the UK. And I think that really, that knowledge base and the understanding of business within that area gives our clients a kind of reassurance that we are a true partner, and really support them as a kind of key member of their team. And that's great for us as well, because we want to have that really strong relationship, and we do want to feel part of the team. And I think we're all of us are really passionate about doing a great job and getting the best results for our clients. So that works really well. So let's go through a quick recap around content and PR marketing. As you probably all know, PR is all about reputation. So it's what you do is around what you're putting out there, what your story is, and of course what others are saying about you, good or bad. And there's obviously mechanics you can use to manage the good and to kind of crisis manage the bad, which we all do. it's, you know, it's about fundamentally looking after a reputation, building it, you know, getting it out there. How do you amplify it, and who are you going to, you know, promote your reputation to? Also around influencing others, influencing in opinion and behaviour. And it's not just the kind of press and broadcasters that we're doing this for. It's a broad range of people. It's stakeholders for an organisation. It might be an MP that needs to have more of an understanding about a particular business. It might be the collateral you create to support an MP's visit or a stakeholder's visit, the relationship you have to sort of build with them, and then, you know, obviously then selling that story to your audience, whether it be press or your customers. So there's lots of different facets to PR, and it has evolved. We'll talk about how it's evolved and how it can obviously be of benefit to you and your business. And the definition at the bottom is from the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, the CIPR. So they have a lot of great content, a lot of great information. So I would encourage you, if you're not signed up to their emails or member, to look at that, because it's really helpful if you're working in PR. The Content Marketing Institute is another fantastic body that, you know, that we all follow and get a lot of information from. And, you know, content marketing is slightly different, you know, in terms of PR. PR's being something that's more owned by a business. Content marketing and the content you put out is something that is earned. So it's very much more a strategic approach, and it's around creating and distributing valuable and sort of more relevant and consistent content. I think consistency is the key word here, and we'll talk about consistency later on in the presentation as well, because you have to be consistent in your communications, and particularly your content, because you're pushing it out online and you want to create as much ongoing valuable visibility as possible. And in order, you know, the reason why you're doing that is because you want to attract an audience, and you actually want to retain them as well. If you're not consistent, they'll drop off. So it's really important that you have that, so they know, you know, they feel comfortable with you. They know to come to you. You're kind of the go-to source for information, and that's really, really important. And ultimately, if you're looking, you know, sort of as a KPI, you can see content as obviously driving conversion and driving profits through customer behaviour. So in terms of why, Anicca, we blend the two, they are so closely related. They are clearly disciplines themselves, but they absolutely complement each other. So that's why we have that blended approach within the agency. You know, they both aim to enhance reputation. They both look to generate positive sentiment. And the content you're creating, both from a PR perspective, whether it's a press release or content in terms of getting a blog post online, you know, you're doing that to enhance your reputation ultimately, you know. So you're also looking to generate positive sentiment. So, and the two really do work hand in hand. I mean, often you have a different audience, but the messaging can be very similar, and, you know, you're looking to achieve the same thing. You know, you're looking to get that message to that specified and targeted audience. And that's why, you know, we blend them and work really kind of closely with our clients to offer both services and look for opportunities for both as well if they have just one of those services. And we'll often see opportunities. Say if there's a client is running a content campaign, we might be having a conversation, and they might talk about something they're doing, a local CSR initiative, and that doesn't really lend itself to a kind of blog piece as much as a fantastic news story in the local press, or contacting the local business press to talk about what they're doing. So there are opportunities that we can get from both, and so it's really important that we have that blended approach. And this diagram here just talks through that and shows kind of that in action. It's just a useful way of looking at it, showing that the two are integrated, that owned is more about reputation, I guess, and earned with content is kind of generating that sentiment. It's generating reaction. It's generating, you know, a positive kind of feeling as well. And I've just put some examples here around what the tactics are to kind of do that, and what you're going to get from that. So I just talked about blending a bit more here. So it's the objective is the same around attracting customers and, you know, ultimately driving sales. I mean, PR is more of an awareness driver, definitely. So, you know, content is great because actually you're looking to generate that income through content more. Both, really do facilitate the fact that you can tell a consistent story that's both on brand and tailored to your audience. You can really tell who's going to see it. So that's really important. And both actually play in really well to the kind of more technical SEO, and we would consider content as more of an organic SEO function. And also the content we produce can be used by paid teams through pay-per-click. It can be used through search. Also social. I haven't got social down here, but social as well. We did some work recently with a client, and the content we were generating actually was used really, really effectively by the organic social team, and generated more, a huge amount of engagements, and left the client really happy. And that was through our integrated approach, working together and actually having some really good content that actually could be repurposed, and we got great value from it. The client got great value from it. So it works really well in terms of supporting other functions. It's also cost effective. So I'm sure many of you will be kind of put your ears up at this, but it is a really effective way because it's organic of generating your or amplifying your reach, increasing your brand awareness. And one of the things that we talked about a few months ago was in how PR content really can build your thought leadership position. And that's a key element of what you want to do in terms of your corporate, and not just using LinkedIn to do that, but positioning yourselves as an expert within your field or your industry, and becoming that go-to that we talked about a few minutes ago. So that's really important. And we really want to see outreach that does create brand loyalty and drives that credibility. And I'll talk about credibility and ethics when we talk about PR. And that's really, really important, because if you're not seen as being credible, people won't come back to you and they won't return to you again and again. So content and PR kind of really does drive that, and there's a real ownership around it. So I want to take you back a bit, and Sukh, we're really pleased I've changed this, because we were laughing at my ridiculous timeline that I first produced, and it was just a kind of brain dump, but hopefully this tells a bit more of the story. So PR has been around since the kind of dawn of time. So it started with people writing on the walls in caves and communicating what they'd seen, the different animals and different stories around them. To jump right forward to the 19th century with the arrival of the telephone, and suddenly people's communication lines are opened up. It's not just having to speak to someone over the fence, it's actually you can speak to people a little while away and keep in touch with people. And these are highlights, by the way. There's so much more that's gone on, but I just kind of picked out some salient points just to kind of illustrate what I'm trying to get to. So forgive me if I've kind of missed out things like the printing press, but they are obviously still very important. And I've put this book here. It was produced in 1923 by a chap called Edward Bernays, and he was the person who kind of really captured the thoughts around two-way communication. It was he cemented that kind of positioning, and that's really where PR sits. It is about, and it always has been about, that two-way communication, whether you're looking to build mutual relationships or whether you're looking to get someone's to communicate an opinion and get feedback, or change perception or build a reputation. So even when I was at uni, we were taught about Edward Bernays and the influence he had within PR, and it still stands today. It's absolutely phenomenal. Then we jumped down to the sort of start of tech, I guess, with the first TV set, and which was developed in 1935. And then we hit the war years, and huge amounts of propaganda. I think we all know about all the Nazis did, and all the kind of negative messaging around the whole of the war, and that actually prompted in 1945 lots of agencies start up. Edelman's is just one example of the agencies, big corporate agencies that began on the back of that. It was kind of seen, well, there was a lot of negativity around the war. Let's do something really positive, and let's help businesses get back on their feet. Let's help, get corporates out there. Let's start making some money across the world. Let's start that machine going again. And how can we do that? Okay, we're going to get some really great positive comms out there. And Edelman was just one of those guys that did that, and still stands today. That's their current logo. It's not a logo from 1945, but just want to kind of illustrate that PR agencies had a very important, standpoint at that point, and have obviously developed since then to where we are now. We can't ignore the fact the internet began in 1969, and it obviously has changed everything for us and has put us where we are today in terms of our digital communications. And I've put Obama here because in 2008, his campaign was the first presidential election that actually used social media to change people's opinions and sort of garner change. It'd never been done before, although social media was obviously prolific at that time. It hadn't actually been harnessed in terms of a comms platform, a PR platform. And it's the first time a president had ever done that. So it was absolutely life-changing in terms of way in which communications are being pushed out, how they're being used, what messaging is going out, the segmentation, the demographics, the way in which messages are kind of altered, and the speed in which they can be altered, the kind of the agile nature that could be changed, even live tweeting from events or quick turnaround messages or responses to journalists. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. And I would urge you actually to read his book because it's really insightful in terms of how those campaigns were run. And then fast forward to kind of 2021 and where we are today. And I think we're all very familiar with how accessible the world is now, whether you're sitting on a phone or you've got a younger member of your family or younger generation accessing a computer, playing games or communicating through Skype with their friends or family across the world. We saw the rise of online when we were, in lockdown, and the fact that everyone was kind of on Zoom, and this has been, it's been life-changing for everybody. People who'd never kind of come across technology before now, embracing it. And as an agency, we've done that too. And I know we do so much online. It's so effective for all the clients that we work for as well. But, it doesn't stop there. And we're always looking to what's next and what's going to happen next and what the latest developments are. But there's no doubt about it that we are now living in a fully fledged digital era. And as much as we all love our books and our newspapers and watch a bit of TV, it is all digital. We all watch and stream TV digitally now. So we have to be digital first. And I'm going to talk about that a lot more within the presentation. So yeah, we're in the digital era. We are global. Even if you're sitting in your house near Uppingham, I have global reach. It's amazing. It's absolutely mind-blowing, really. The innovation that we have in our fingertips and the innovation that we need to push out there, it's just a huge opportunity for us. And I would say with PR, the traditional techniques and the way in which we've worked actually does still hold true, because they're tried and tested. If I think back to Bernays and his book and his method around two-way communication, we are simply building on that, but in a different way. We are building on that through digital and what we're doing in this digital era. We have to be forward thinking, and actually we need to be really creative now, kind of to kind of maximize this opportunity that we have within digital. So actually we need talented people, and we need to have really big forward thinkers and people who think differently and outside the box now, to garner and to kind of jump on these opportunities that we have now that are presented to us within the digital arena for PR. So what's new in PR then? It's all about digital. We have to keep digitally focused and think almost as an SEO organic practitioner when we're thinking about PR as well, not just about content. It's hugely, hugely important. Because we live in a digital era, you have to market yourself digitally. There's no way, to kind of ignore that. So whether that's thinking about PR or your online presence, just think digital first. How are you going to get this in the hands of people? And it's not just about emailing a press release to someone. It's about, thinking about ways in which you can get front of mind to them through your digital techniques, thinking creatively, using kind of more insightful audience segmentation, using link building, researching your audience through kind of online and making sure that you have a very strong presence with your on-page SEO. Really, really important. If you're not optimizing your content, if you're not link building the content you're pushing out there in terms of PR, you're not going to be digital first. You need to really be defined as well about what you want to be known for and what you rank for. Use the techniques that we have available to us through organic SEO to actually know what get your research done and know what you want to rank for. Be that business that stands out digitally, but understand your market first by doing that research. And I think even though I'm talking about keeping digitally focused, imagery is really important within this because we're living in a digital era. Everything's really fast paced, and people aren't necessarily haven't got the time to read long articles or a long press release, but they have got time to see an image, and they have got time to actually understand something because they see it visually. Yes, use alt text if you're putting online, of course, but use imagery to your advantage, and I think that is really important within a digital era, actually, that you're doing that and not using such long form content anymore. A bit controversial, because obviously LinkedIn is all about long form content and long articles, but I think that's changing, and I think now even if you want to produce a longer article, intersperse it with imagery and different visual content. That's really, really important. And we talked about credibility a bit earlier on. And I think within a digital era, and this is my opinion, but I am seeing it, and I'm seeing it because of things like Facebook and the whistleblowing that happened recently, and different campaigns that go viral, like the Me Too campaign. Ethics is going to be increasingly important in a digital world because you are really having to be very transparent. You can't hide behind a newspaper anymore. The press cuttings aren't used for tomorrow's chip paper. They're there forever. So you as a business and a brand have to be really transparent and really, really open. You have to make sure you're accurate. You have to make sure you've got really strong ethics, and really very clear on your viewpoints, and are mindful of those in the bigger world. Even though we're online and digital, there's a huge world out there. So just be mindful of who you're targeting and what you're saying. So I think ethics is hugely important in digital. So I would kind of urge you to kind of think about that and all the comms that you produce and put out there. And so how are these things going to, influence and shape your business and help you kind of deliver a really excellent PR campaign? So be the hack, be the nosy journalist, ask the questions no one else is, and with that, give people an angle and content that no one else is providing. So do keyword research, find the gaps, look to see where your competitors are working and see where they're succeeding and find where they're not and go after that. And that's really, really important. That's how you can use digital to your advantage within PR. So really use your research, take time to do it, and make sure you're putting content out there and press releases and news stories that people aren't seeing, because that's where you're going to get your coverage now, not through being, following the crowd. It's really important as well that you still plan. You have a plan in place. You can't just, as much as you want to be agile and turn things around quickly on social, yes you can, but unless you've got predefined messaging, unless you've got background, unless you've got a backstory, unless you've got research, you're going to fall down. So make sure you have done your research, make sure you've got a plan, and make sure you've got plans in place. And this is all around reputation management and crisis as much as issues management and looking for opportunities. And equally, it's around looking at topical issues as well, and being able to turn content or press releases around on the back of something that happens that day. Act like a journalist, jump on top of the story, and get content out there really, really quickly. So I would kind of, the takeaway for me is to be digital first. PR is a very traditional way of working, but it has huge, huge opportunities within the digital era. So I would urge you to be digital first when you're thinking about your comms and your news and the stories that you're putting out there. And obviously, if you need support with that, appoint digital experts to help you. I think it's really, really important, because if you don't have that knowledge, you won't stay ahead of the game. And you want your brand or business to be succeeding within this new world, and the world that's going to happen in 2022 and beyond. You know, it's not going to change. So make sure you're working with digital experts to support you to do that. And I would say as well, just sort of thinking about how people work now within PR. And I was listening to it, I'm just sort of thinking about a conference I had recently, a PR conference, and Lord Huntsworth was speaking. And he owns a lot of PR agencies. And what struck me is he said, and is kind of interesting as someone who had a PR degree under the belt, that they want to now not employ people who've got necessarily a PR background or journalist background. They are employing people who've got a digital background. So they're employing people primarily who know how to write optimized content, who know how to link build, you know, who know actually, yeah, you can look at a great story and are competent writers, but they are employing people that have digital knowledge, whether it's someone that's worked for 6 months in a digital environment or someone who's got more experience but has been working more with online PR and digital PR. That is where they are looking for their talent. So they are seeing digital first in people, not just, you know, the sort of outreach you're putting there. So it's just interesting in terms of how their world's changing as well, in terms of kind of these massive PR gurus and what their firms are doing. So jumping into content. So we talked earlier about consistency with content, really, really important. That's never going to change. With all the things that might change within content, you know, your commitment to getting content out there on a regular basis is never going to change. Pushing content is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not a short-term solution. It's not a quick Twitter post that's going to grab a journalist's attention. It's not a reaction to something. It's not short-term. You know, for long-term gain, you just definitely need to plan. You need to think about how you're going to execute. And importantly, you need to think about how you're going to evaluate what the message is that you're putting out there consistently. You know, you have to have a really strong frequency of content that you're pushing. You have to have a plan, and you need to, you know, understand where you want to go, where you are, and where you want to go to, and how you're going to get there. And I think with all the changes that are happening with content and how quickly it's moving, you need to have this. It's almost like your bricks and mortar in terms of your sort of model for content. So, and I would say this is a really important plan. So if you don't know sort of where you need to start off or where you need to get to, this is a really good example of a content plan. So first of all, to find your audience, who are you talking to? Who do you want to talk to? Who are they? Do your research. What's your demographic? Who is actually online? You think you might be targeting females, but actually break down the audience is actually men. You know, so they're really important. So define your audience initially. The next stage is to look at your objectives and what you actually want to achieve. Question it. What are we trying to get to? What do we want to do? What are our goals? What are we marking ourselves by? What are the KPIs? Are we looking for conversions? Are we looking for link clicks? Are we looking to drive someone to a particular page, or to get people to ask more questions, or, you know, so, you know, look at your KPIs and do your keyword research. I mean, I can't stress enough how important that is. And, you know, what are the channels and outreach that you're going to be using to actually, you know, facilitate your objectives? How are you going to get them to work? So what channel are you going to be using? It could be social media. It could be your site. So you could be using blogs or articles or video, for example, but, you know, really define what they are and have a plan around it as well. You know, it could be that actually we've got an article or a case, the example I had earlier on, and then actually that can then be changed a bit and used for social media, or there could be snippets that are used for quotes in a press release. So think about how you're going to actually repurpose and get as much value from that content as well. That would be my advice within a kind of plan like this, or the plan that you should be using. Create your content, obviously, and publish it. So, and it's not just about writing something, putting it out there. It's never going to work. You know, you might as well just not do it. You know, you work really hard to produce great content, so make sure you make it work really hard for you. So ensure that that content is optimized. Make sure you've got great links in there. Add a call to action. You know, make sure people actually do something. You know, I can't bear it when you can see great content and actually, where do I go for more? Where's the information? What can I do with this? So make sure you add your call to action within it. All of that's really, really important. But in a way, I think the most important part of it is the measurement. Is how you're viewing the performance, how you're tracking it. Because actually, once you come to analyse it, you could find some fantastic opportunities. You could find that, yes, you're achieving your KPIs and hopefully exceeding them, but you might also find that something's not working so well. So it gives you the opportunity to evaluate that and actually understand whether you do need to be doing something different, and how do you go about that, and what do you need to change. So that's a really important process. And so this is, although this is not a cyclical diagram, you can see how that would actually feed into what do you want to achieve, you know, and it might even shape your audience again as well. So I would urge you at the end of each campaign or during campaign to look at that. And actually at Anicca, we produce monthly reports, and that gives us the opportunity to actually have that process, and we talk through results with our clients, and they might want to tweak, or we equally might suggest tweaks and changes, or even say, actually, you know, what we're doing is actually it's on track. But what we're going to do is add X to it to make it even better and to kind of go above and beyond. So really, really important. So the bit that you've been waiting for, what's new in content. So I'm sorry to say that everyone's attention span's 8 seconds, so I probably lost you when I started talking about me. But Time magazine has defined that people's attention span has moved from 12 seconds down to 8. So even in that short space of time, I've lost you. I hope not, anyway. But it's all about snackable content now. It's about keeping it bite-sized. It's keeping it short and snappy. And that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was talking about articles, and, you know, the fact that long-form articles perhaps aren't as popular anymore. And even if you're going to do them, that you should be using imagery or graphics to kind of break your content up, because people's attention span is just dropped right down. And, you know, it might be because of they're busy, or they've got a lot of things to see, or actually they just want to have the kind of headline news, you know, what is actually happening, how's it affect me, and move on. So bear that in mind when you're producing your content. And I think we're all familiar with TikTok, aren't we now? TikTok is kind of more popular in terms of its growth than Facebook, because it's snackable content. It's got 732 million monthly users, and that figure's growing. When I was looking back to see how it compared to kind of like 6 months ago, it had risen huge. I haven't got the percentage figure in front of me, but I was amazed at the kind of growth I could see within that sort of figure from now to before. And TikTok is the most downloaded social media app in the world. So, guys, it kind of wraps up everything we say. Everything's got to be bite-sized. It's got to be easy to digest. It's got to be immediate. It's digital first, isn't it? We're living in this digital era. And so, you know, I think TikTok is really just a representation of where people are now. So listen to that, you know, when you're thinking about your comms and your outreach, think about if that's what's attracting people now, that is going to be reflected in your business, even if it's a B2B. And I think, you know, B2Bs need to work as hard and as be creative as B2Cs. So I really would urge you to kind of take this on board. So what does that look like? You know, it's not just producing a particular video that can go on TikTok. It's about having shorter videos. It's about having content like FAQs, because they're easy to look at. You can pick out the questions that you need answering and ignore the rest if you want to, or read the whole lot, hopefully, I'm hoping. Creating lists, having bullets, even in your presentations, so have bullets. How-to is a really, really great way of doing this. Infographics, really important. Blog posts. And I'm obviously with all this content, it's all been researched. You're adding the correct content in there in terms of optimized content and links and researching it as well. And podcasts becoming really, really popular, and I'll talk about that further along in the presentation. But we're seeing within the agency the chatter around podcasts within the sort of wider marketing remit, and that's something again I'd keep your eye on and think about podcasts. And podcast popularity stemmed from lockdown. It's because actors and actresses and comedians couldn't go on the stage. They kind of needed this outlet to kind of communicate. And those are the people that started podcasts and were podcasting from the bedroom with duvets over the bedroom door to sound block. And they've become really popular. They've not gone away. It's really interesting. So I think from a business perspective, a podcast is a format that you should be thinking about and looking at with some seriousness kind of going forward. I was interested to get some stats actually from the Content Marketing World event recently because there's so many great speakers there, and I'd again urge you to sign up to this because it's a great resource and something excuse me, you can dip in and out. You can have your bite-sized content, find speakers that interest you and talks that interest you. And I found some stats that interested me. There was some information conducted by Springboard. They're a big survey business, if you've not come across them before. And they spoke to 100,000 people, so a really, really significant number. And of those, 67% expected their content marketing budgets to increase next year. So that's really interesting, isn't it? They're saying only 5% expected to see a decrease. And these post-COVID times, I don't know if we can say it's post-COVID because we're still in COVID, but they expected more money to be spent on content marketing next year. And Adweek data and IPG data has revealed that in this year alone, ad spend was up 12%. So what does that tell us? There's going to be an increasing amount of competition to get your message out there, and it's really, really noisy. So we've got a harder job now as comms professionals, I guess, to kind of get the message out there and be cost effective and be seen. So the takeaway here for me and to share with you in terms of a trend for sort of 2021 and beyond is that your content marketing efforts need to kind of ramp up. They need to be increased and they need to be far more effective because we are living in this digital era. We are living in a TikTok era. It's noisy. There's a lot of competition and we need to be even better at what we do in terms of the content we put out there. It's non-negotiable. And particularly if you're looking at, ad spend increasing, that's make it even harder for organic practices to kind of get that headway and to get out there. So I would urge you to kind of really increase what you're doing from a content marketing perspective. Just want to share a little bit more data with you as well that we just talked about the sort of issues or the issues I think there are going to be with long form content. And actually the data revealed that 49 people thought there would be less white papers in 2022. So isn't that interesting? That actually, this bite-sized content is really emerging, that long form content is going to be less popular. But there was a bit of industry chat. I was looking at Twitter and there were a lot of people saying, actually, yeah, understand that, but let's look at it in terms of the industry that we're in. Some industries do really need those long form content. So I think if you think about like scientific papers, perhaps when there's quite a lot of data to go through, that's when you'll perhaps continue to see those white papers and longer form content. But I think in other industries and industries that we work in, it's not going to be so popular. Michelle, really interesting to see what you're saying there about white papers, looking to drop them. Yeah. Blogs, absolutely, blogs are the way forward, and shorter blogs as well, so that don't kill me. Obviously, to get your minimum workout in there and your links and your optimized, but yeah, I would say blogs all the way. 6% of people believe there'll be more podcasts, so absolutely, fuels the fire in terms of what we've been saying in terms of where we're going in the future. And 30% as well stated return on investment needs to be more transparent. So if you're asking for more budget for your content marketing, if you're asking for more budget for your PR and what you're doing and creating content, actually, you need to be more visible as well. So I think, and Anne, I love your comment as well there about long form papers being unique. Absolutely, all content has to be unique. You can't repurpose content, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. Have unique content and be known for it. Be known for being the expert in that space, because it's that thing that no one else is asking. So really, really important. And use your tried and tested measurement trackers such as Search Console to show that data when you're proving your ROI. Actually, it's a really great way of actually showing people what you've achieved. So how do you make content work really hard for your business? Content is really, really useful. We all love content. We all consume it all the time. So do put more effort into your content marketing. It's a great source of information. But I would say that to make it worthwhile and to make it valuable, it shouldn't feel like marketing. You shouldn't be putting content out there that people think, oh God, this doesn't sit with me. It feels really in my face. It's got too many links in it. Oh God, that brand's been mentioned too many times. So actually, it shouldn't be disruptive. It shouldn't feel like marketing. Personalize it. Use your demographics, use your research to get personalized content out there to make it really effective. Get your content targeted. Make it searchable. People are looking for it. People are looking. They want those questions answered. So make it visible. Make it unique. Make it something that someone else can see. And see what people's needs are and make it work for your business. So if you're finding people are looking for certain topics and you're not perhaps talking about that within your industry, go and own it. Answer the questions that they are asking, because then they'll come to you. Because you're showing yourself that you are the expert and you're putting yourself out there, and you are the person that, or the business that they need to go to. And in terms of what you need to achieve, you need to inform people, you need to tell them, you need to answer those questions, but you need to entertain them as well. And I'm a true believer that even in B2B, entertainment is key. Unless you're entertaining someone when you're presenting a blog post or an article, they won't read it, so make sure it's relevant and entertains them. And it engages your audience as well. And educates, and education is key. You're looking to give them information they don't know about, so make sure you continue to educate them. So techniques in 2021 and beyond, and I put 2021 on there because I think we all feel like we've missed a year somehow, but it's really noisy. It's very much harder to get ranked. So one technique you can do is to review older content. Have a look what you've done previously and update it. Also check your headers, your H1s, your tags to make sure they are fit for purpose, and optimize your title tags and metas as well. And I'm sure Sukh will kind of add in this kind of slide, but I think it's just really important to kind of do your housekeeping, and to make sure what you're doing is fit for purpose, I guess. And Neil Patel, who's kind of a sort of content SEO guru, he has stated that you can have 5.8 or so, nearly 6% higher click-through rate if you create your own meta. So that's food for thought, isn't it, in terms of actually not having an automated meta, like making sure you create it yourself. And finally, making sure you give out questions. So ask the question. When you're writing blog content, put a question in your header, get people to think about it, and then you'll answer it within your blog content. So questions, it's proven questions do get clicks. So some more techniques to think about as well. Video all the way. You don't necessarily have to be on TikTok, but just video and bite-sized video at that. And think about YouTube as well as an amazing amazing SEO platform. Do review your content drivers and keep your content unique. I think that's something that Anne talked about in the chat. It's the sort of main component of good quality SEO. Sharing other people's content is not going to position you as that leader. It's just going to share their content. So make sure what you're presenting is unique to you and your business, and it's your expert opinion, and share those insights and those opinions and thoughts. And definitely own the space. You've got to own the space that you're talking about and be the expert within that space. And I mentioned it before, but imagery, so important, even if we're thinking about, optimized content, but bring it to life, entertain, engage, educate, with imagery. And I think with this bite-sized viewpoint, is something that's really going to help break up perhaps longer form content if you still want to use it, or illustrate the points you're looking to make on a blog post. So how do you put that plan into place? So make sure agile, be nimble, react quickly, be topical, jump on topics and trends as quickly as they happen. Make sure you've got an opinion and a viewpoint and get it out there. Post-COVID, people have got a real people-first mindset. Everyone cares a lot more about each other, or hopefully they do anyway. But we have seen that come through, and it is about sort of seeing a person, having that identity, and being people first, and think about your audience as being a person. Make sure you've done your persona research, guys. Make sure you've got them in place so you know who you're talking to, and talk to that person. Delivering reliable and timely and trustworthy information is key. Jump on top of a topic, but you've got to be quick. You don't want to miss the boat. So just make sure it's on time, and you've got trust within what you're pushing out as well. So if you are using data, make sure you reference it so you're seen to be credible, and also ethical. Let's go back to that whole PR thing we talked about earlier. Make sure you do review your target audience. Make sure you have the understanding around how you can help them, be personal to them, think of them as a person. How can you engage them? How can you entertain them? Make sure you've got that plan in place. We talked about that before. It's really, really important. As I say, it's your bricks and mortars to how you develop your content and how you get out there and how you get drive that engagement and that conversion. And remember, your audience is not necessarily static. They do change. Demographics do change. We're only talking this week, Tom and I, about the fact that the different demographics who are using TikTok have changed. So it shows that people's choice of media is evolving. So review that when you're thinking about your brand and what you do as a business. So in terms of generating your content, why don't you ask your customers what they want? Be people first. Hold some stakeholder interviews, conduct some social listening. Don't just presume it, ask them. If you want to be people first and engage your target audience, ask your customers what they want. Use keyword research to understand also what will actually work. And you can also look within this at trends and look at active terms. So you've got to look at a whole host of different areas to understand what's going to be good for that audience and how can you stand out. What are the key points of difference you can make by looking at that keyword data. And you can also discover some audience questions. We are loving Reddit. Sarah and I were talking about Reddit again. It's an amazing go-to source for information. And again, it's really gaining popularity. And I understand there's been some recent changes there as well. They've got a new feed as well. So that's really shaping up to be a really useful source for us to use. Look at what supporting topics can be used for information, what links you're pushing people to, how they can get more information from you. And use trend-based and topical content as well for what you're doing. Use analytics to predict what might perform well now and in the future. So use those monitoring tools and listen, do your social listening and use your monitoring tools to actually understand where the world's going, where your topics and trends are. And use Google Alerts. We love Google. Well, I love Google Alerts for setting up alerts and getting information. Or equally use a service like Talkwater to look at trends and view what your competitors are doing. I think you can sometimes get a bit siloed as a brand or business into what you're doing and how you're performing, but look to see how your competitors are performing and what they're actually doing. So I think we're nearly at the end now, but I would say that you need to be an expert on the most important things. Don't be an expert on everything. Hone down what you want to be known for. It's that old saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Be an expert on the most important things and keep those topics that you're talking about really focused. What is your personal point of difference as a brand? Identify those particular opportunities. Do research. What is the competition doing? Who are they? Putting out the questions that no one else is, providing a different angle and that unique content, and make sure your content is of really, really high quality. And overall, please be digital first. Think, we are living in this digital era, and you have to think digital the whole time. And I just put some information here. It's a case study that we've got for Palex and how the work we've done has actually helped drive their PR and their coverage and their online views. And, and we work all the time with clients like Palex to actually review what we've done well and actually make sure we're still on point and still going to keep generating such great results for them. So the information I've shown you before all goes in here. We'll look at the plan, we'll look at the content plan, we'll look and see what's different. We're looking to see how they can own the space around transportation. We're looking to make sure they've got that share of voice. They're talking about things that are different to their competition. So it's a constantly evolving piece. So we just drop that in there as an example. So that's it from me. I'm now going to pass over to Anne. Thank you so much for listening. I've really enjoyed pulling this together. But do reach out to me on LinkedIn or through amy@anicca.co.uk if you've got any further questions as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Amy. That was really good. Did you notice any questions? I think the guys have been answering them as we've gone through, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah. The only thing I forgot to mention was to leave us a review.
I'll do that. I'll do that in a second. So yeah, let me just do a bit of promotion first of all. So first of all, if you haven't already signed up for Tuesday's conference, there are a few places if you physically want to attend, but you really need to email myself at anna@anicca.co.uk or Katie, Katie at Anicca. Katie, could you put your email address in there? If you actually want to physically attend on Tuesday. In order to make it easier for you to attend, I'll just put the link so that you can just, if you want to attend virtually. We've actually going to be at the brand new Space Park. I think this is the official first public event at the new Space Park, which is next to, for people that live in Leicester, this is Abbey, it's basically next to the National Space Centre. So there's a big sort of tech park happening there. And it's a half-day event. We've got some guest speakers from the university and also from Silverstone Technology Cluster. And then 2 or 3 of the staff, Amy and Sukh are doing a turn. Holly's doing something on paid media. Tom's acting as our compare for the day. I'm doing a little bit of an update on latest stats. And then we've got just a sort of buffet, sort of grab a lunch networking event as well. And there's also an opportunity to go and have a look around the space park. Some of the facilities there. Katie might be able to put something in the chat on that. If you want to come to the event, please email us. If you just want to watch online, we've got a camera crew in there recording it. So it's a professional conference. So the webinar will be slightly different from our normal format in that it'll be fed live stream from Space Parks Center. I feel like I'm advertising NASA or something like that. But European Space Agency are there. This is a massive boost. And I know that Boris has been going on about the new space economy. So yeah, please do come. And if you did enjoy today's webinar from Amy, sorry, what I would like to just do is give you the opportunity to give a review. So please leave a review. So I'll just bring that up now. So yeah, if you'd like to give Amy a review, if anybody else wants to give us a review for anything else we've been doing, if you're a client and you've been loving what we've been doing, if we've been getting great results for you, obviously reviews are really important. It's our sort of trust and credibility factor. And we've got a brand new website launching next week. And so lots of current reviews will be brilliant. So that would be great to add onto the website. So I think that's all the plugs for today. Basically, the next few weeks are a little bit different. If you're not aware, Leicester Business Festival starts next week. So we've got 2 presentations that we're doing as part of Leicester Festival. The first is on the 12th, which is actually Amy and Sukh doing a double act again. So Amy's speaking. Amy and Sukh are doing a lot of presentations. That is on Friday the 12th. It's from 9 to 11. It's a double hour one. You can also register through Big Market or through the Leicester Festival. And the week after, because the festival only goes to Thursday, the normal Friday one is actually on the Thursday. And that's going to be all about paid media. So slightly different approach. The first one is all the things you can do for free to promote your business. So it does include some SEO and content, but it does include things like organic and a few other bits as well, organic social and a few other bits as well. And then the second one is all about what you can do if you've got a budget. So brilliant. Anyway, hopefully we'll see you soon. And if any of you would love to come to the conference on Tuesday, we'd love to see you. So I'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks very much, everybody. You'll get the video in a couple of hours. Okay, bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So I'm just going to process and turn the video off now and end the webinar. So we'll see you later.